Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ark Survival Ascended. As always, I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault, and we're going to do another mod spotlight today. It's going to be... Whoa, I didn't want to show you that. It's going to be on this new cryo system I'm using. Well, new for me, at least. It's called Super Cryo Storage, and it has replaced Peliori's system for me. And that's not anything bad on Peliori's. Peliori's is a great mod. I highly recommend. I did a couple videos on it that you check them out. There's some very popular videos for me here. A lot of people love that one. It's a very, very highly downloaded mod and definitely awesome. But this one suits me and my crew a little bit better. So we'll cue up the music and we'll talk about it. Alright, so first and foremost, one of the things I like best about this is the fact that you can so clearly label your different storage places for your various creatures, right? I could break it down into perfect, which are, when I call it perfect, that's a team that I've gone through and blended all the best stats into a super creature, basically. There's no what do you call it on these, no mutations or anything like that. It's just the best stats of everything that we've got. And it doesn't always include food and oxygen unless it's relevant, which is rare, but, you know. And carnivores, herbivores, shoulder, and small creatures that you can't ride. Scorched Earth, and I'm all future-proofed against the major DLCs that we're going to get, and so forth and so on. You know, and I got a lot of extras here. So, really, really cool. Great way to store. Now, let me show you what it takes to actually get these things and add them to your game, you know, to make them. So we're going to look in here under SCS, and this is everything that's available. Level 35, you get a display case that works like your regular display case. You just put one of these collection balls into there, and it will display a little mini version of your creature. Well, mini balls cost 2 crystal, and that's for 20, I believe. And then you've got the SCS gun, which is fairly inexpensive, a little more expensive than your basic cryo gun, but that only costs 1 thatch, which is kind of ridiculous. But in any case, you know, whatever. At level 51, you're not going to have a problem getting one of each of those. And then, of course, the SCS terminal, which is a little pricey in ingots, but everything else, the polymer's a little pricey too, but not too bad. If you start producing some polymer, you'll be in good shape. But those are available at level 51, and that's it. Those are the 3 basic things. Now, in my inventory, here's the stack of the balls. They weigh 43.7 for 437, so they're very, very light, you know, for the most part. And I love the fact that they stack, because the old-style cryopods, regular ones, and these for Peliori's, each take up a slot. I get it when there's a creature in it, but, you know, for this situation, I don't think it's really that necessary. You know, they do weigh a ½ pound each, so 437 of them would weigh 200 some odd pounds, which is kind of crazy. So this is really, really nice. And like I said, they're cheap to make. Now, these things do not... I'm sorry, wanted to show you that. They do not require refrigeration, so none of these things are refrigerated. None of these cryo... or SCS terminals, I should start calling that. None of these terminals require refrigeration, which is awesome. And let's look at the various things that can be done with them. Alright, first one I want to start off with is this one here. This one's outside near my kitchen area, specifically close to my AA industrial cooker. And the reason why is this creates kibble eggs in here for me. Now, I only make the top-end kibble because at this point, I've got easy access to all the resources, and I've got the creatures that make the eggs for it. So, the expensive kibble works just as well as any other kibble. It can replace all of them. There's no loss in taming efficiency when you use it, so if you can make it, you may as well make it. It's a lot better than keeping track of 5 or 6 different types of kibble that you want to make. So I got 2 Ceratosaurs in here, and then I got a bunch of Oviraptors. And the Oviraptor boost works in here and allows us to make eggs, unfertilized eggs, which is fantastic because those stack. You know, now we do have the Oviraptor eggs in here as well. Don't worry about them too much. I mean, that's just a byproduct. I should and could pull all these guys out and sterilize them, and I might do that, you know, down the road. That we don't have to worry about that. But honestly, it doesn't affect anything. It's not a big deal. Now let's go look at the basic terminal settings before we move on and check out anything else. This is different per terminal, okay? So every terminal you have, you can go in and customize it. You can, and we'll start here on the left. I could make this collect fertilized eggs that were laid in the area, and we're going to see that later on. I could make them incubated, auto-trap babies, generate resources. What? Yeah, we're going to get to that. This one here is unfertilized egg generation, so that specifically works for these guys. I can generate poop, and beetles can convert poop in there. I can also use this to enable mating to all dinos within 5,000 terminal range, or disable mating. It's kind of a handy thing for bases that are, you're doing a lot of mating and breeding at. You can just log in, turn it all on, go do your business, boom, 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 come back and turn it on all off. The only problem is I don't use mating. I use wandering. And I hitch my dinos so they don't move, and I use wandering. And that's because if I'm out of render distance, they will continue to mate and produce eggs and so forth. If you use mating and you leave render distance, unless things have changed for ASA, they will stop mating. So you could log on, leave your base, and go adventure for 3 hours, come back and go, wait, why do I only have 2 babies? That's why I use mating instead of wandering. So just a little advice there. And then you have how many slots can be used for each type of poop, up to 300. Distribution settings, you can set up to fertilize per plot, how much you want to put in there, and then your terminal range determines how far your terminal will reach as far as doing things like auto-trapping babies, collecting eggs, and so forth and so on. Poop generation occurs inside of the terminal. Resource generation inside of the terminal. Everything involved in it has to be inside. But as far as collecting eggs and auto-trapping babies, that takes place outside the terminal. Now, let's go look at a couple others, and I'll show you how some of that stuff works and why it's so cool. So, we'll start with this one here, fertilizer, right? You can see there's a ton of fertilizer in here. And by a ton, I mean, yeah, there's quite a bit. There's also quite a bit of poop in here, which is awesome. We've got oil, and that's a byproduct of all these dung beetles in here. I've got, 9 of them, I think? Yeah, 9 dung beetles. And they're constantly producing fertilizer, which is fantastic. I've got one Phiomia who's working hard to keep them fed, and she's doing a good job of it so far. I've considered adding a second Phiomia just for the hell of it, because as you can see, the fertilizer is seriously outweighing the amount of poop that's in there, but that's all good. Terminal settings, we'll show you here what I've got set up. Resource generation's going on, that's why we've got the oil. Poop generation and beetles convert poop is why we've got both poop and fertilizer in there. And then I kind of capped it off at 125 and 125 for the fertilizer, and the medium poop to, so it doesn't fill up completely with one, making us unable to produce the other one. I don't want to have so much poop that we can't produce fertilizer, or so much fertilizer that we can't produce poop. That would just be counterproductive at this point. So, pretty cool, right? Now over here, this is a resource generating terminal. And this one's interesting because I've done some magic with this one. What? Wyvern milk? What? Oh, we got to fix that. That's horrible. Damn. So yeah, we're producing all kinds of good stuff in here. Achatina paste, black pearls, crystal, you name it. I mean, even polymer and what is that? Pyrodex powder. What is that? That's a modded thing. Raw mutt and so forth and so on. I've got a bunch of different creatures in here, and we're doing that. Some of these are legitimately produced by creatures, on the fly, like Achatina paste from the Achatinas takes the place of cementing paste. Phoenix produce black pearls and silica pearls. These are both produced by an Oasisaur. And yes, you can use this to trap an Oasisaur. Where is my friend the Oasisaur in here? I know we can see him, right? Come on. He's in here somewhere, I hope. There he is. God. Right. So, yeah, he automatically produces resources, and you can set it up to capture those resources. Here's another one, sand. And I think he does the obsidian as well, and the stone, which is fantastic, right? Awesome. This is from the Achatinas, as well as, I believe, the Kairukus. And the Bombardier beetles, the modded creature, produced this. And, yeah. This and the mutton I've got being produced from Ovis, as well as, and that's an unnatural thing, as well as the wool. And I have the fire dragons producing sulfur and wyvern milk, which is a mistake. I'm going to probably do something with that wyvern milk there. So, yeah, all that kind of fun stuff, right? And it'll show you what creatures are producing what. Acatinas, you can see down there, resource production in the lower left-hand corner of the pop-up box. Bombardier beetles. Ovis. Now, for some reason, it doesn't show up for the Kairuku, so I'm not sure if they're actually producing. I'm going to have to set up a separate terminal and put them in there just to see. I thought I set it up for that to work, but, you know, it may not be working. There's the Phoenix. And then let's look at the actual fire wyverns. There we go. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. So how does that work? So, again, we go into the terminal settings, and we allow resource generation. And that's how that works. Real simple. If you got creatures that can produce these things, then they're going to produce it. Now, let me show you how to do some of the custom stuff I did in there. Alright, to do some of this next stuff, you're going to need to be an admin on your server. If you're not an admin, then you have to talk to your admin if you want these settings, or, you know, I don't know what kind of server you play on a official server. You're not going to have those options, even if it has mods. I don't know if this type of mod is on official servers. I don't play official. That's not my gig. I do you know, private server. But we're going to go in and open it back up like we did before. I can toss these on the ground, and my vacuum will pick it all up and put it where it goes, which is kind of cool. But yeah, we're going to open it up, and we're going to go into admin settings. Now, terminal settings are per terminal. Admin settings are for the entire game. So this will cover every single terminal in the game, not just for me, but for everyone in my tribe. So, you know, I let these guys know if something's about to change. Say, hey, you know, I'm gonna add this to it. So if you're gonna be using these terminals, this is gonna be different now, or I'm adding that. You know, I'm adding this creature and letting it generate something, whatever. You know how you could put a creature out and let it walk around and gather stuff on its own? Like if you do it with Gigantopithecus, it will walk around and gather fiber. You know, I could stick the Gigantopithecus in here theoretically and possibly get him to gather fiber. Now, not every creature has the ability to gather everything, and we're going to look at how that works, but it's still kind of neat that it's a possibility. You know, we can look around and play around with some different stuff, and that way you don't have to throw stuff out into the server and, you know, help create lag for your game and all that. You know, the less dinos that are out doing stuff, the better. You end up with a smoother running game, you know. So anyway, enough of that. Let's go through the settings here. We're going to start off with the gun. The gun shows you what different things, you know, it's basically 5 check marks. You can capture dinos in combat. You can capture items in bags. That's cool. So if you got a death cache, you can just go shoot it and take everything out of it. Now, that can weigh you down severely, so be careful with that one. Capturing dinos, report to tribe log. That one I disabled. I think that was default on. And nobody wants to open a tribe log and see Captain Beefy picked up this and Captain Beefy picked up that, and, you know, so forth and so on. It's just annoying. Can capture raid dinos. This is huge. Titanosaur and the Oasisaur. That's what allows me to capture him and then get his resource. Well, that doesn't allow me to get his resources, but that allows me to capture him, and I don't have to worry about running around and feeding him on a constant basis. Save dino inventory. All items in dino inventory will be saved with the dino. This is huge. I don't think this was default on. I think I turned this on. Now, let me tell you how this works. And this is brutal. So if I'm out with, let's say I have an Anki, right? And I've got so much weight on, I've got 5,000 weight on that Anki. And I take him out and I fill him with metal, and he's heavy as hell, you know, and my RG can't even lift him or whatever. I can just shoot him with the gun and put him into a pod, and he will weigh nothing, and bring him back home and then toss him out and take all that metal and start processing it. That's how that works. It's a little much on, you know, for the game. It might be a little too cheaty for you, but we're at a point in the game now where it doesn't matter for us, resources and all that. We've played so long, and, you know, this is our third map these characters have been on. So now it's just a matter of having fun. When I open up Aberration, and if we'll probably use this on Aberration, I'm going to tone back some of these things to make it a little more challenging until we get to a point where we're like, all right, let's just have fun now. We beat everything, and, you know, let's just be OP now. All right, so here are the actual balls themselves. We can enable cryosickness if we want. We can give the imprint to whoever deploys. This is kind of neat, especially if you have a tribe that one person is doing most of the breeding for everybody, or they're kind of like in charge of the final product, whatever, however you do things. I could breed up a whole bunch of things and then say, okay, go take 5 of these creatures and they're yours, and when the guy goes home, he can toss it out, my tribe mate, and that imprint will pass on to him, which is cool. I've got this checked off because we want to do some fun boss fights with dinos you're not supposed to use. So I think that would be kind of cool. You can deploy a boss arena. Can deploy in caves, which is awesome. Stored babies can auto-grow. We're going to look at this in a minute. That is badass. Stored babies can auto-imprint. I don't like to use this because I do a lot of breeding here. And I like, most of the time I'm looking at creatures like this. I'm looking at them when they're inside their cryopod or their ball or whatever you want to call it. And the stats will pop up and it will show me a breakdown of like 47 points into health, 32 points into weight and whatever. And that's an easy way to look at it. But if they're out laying down, out in the world, and I look at it, I don't see the distribution of points. I only see a final number. I'll see health as 5,000. So I could have 2 creatures side by side, one imprinted and one not, with the same exact health, but that health number will be different. And that throws me off. And, just say what you will about my brain there, but for me, it works better if I don't have them imprinted when I'm working on breeding. So I don't do the auto imprinting. Disable use during storm, kind of like on Scorched Earth. I don't know if that works on other maps, but if it does, it's kind of cool. Can only deploy in terminal range if you want to make it more like the classic vanilla cryo setup. And auto grow using server rate. That means if you've got boosted rates on your server, your babies are going to grow at that time. And then you can adjust times for capturing in and out of combat. You can do the distance of how far you can throw it. And let me tell you, you can throw these things quite a distance. Cryo sickness timer. You can adjust that if you do have cryo sickness enabled. Maybe you want it on there, but you don't want it to be so unforgiving. Growth speed modifier and dino healing speed. Both of these I have upped a little bit, because we do a lot of breeding between Trench and I, and even Hobbit's doing a little breeding. All the guys do some breeding, so that's going to help them out with that. And dino healing speed, we just doubled it on there. Now, admin settings for the actual terminals themselves, these are cool. This is where it allows you to use these things for a variety of reasons, right? So if I turn this off, we won't be able to auto-trap babies, but I have it on. Fertilized egg collection and incubation are checked off. And again, you have to enable this on each and every terminal you want to use it, but enabling it here makes that a possibility. Enable gain kill XP deleting dinos. So this was, I think, defaulted on, and I killed a whole bunch of dinos in one shot. I think I was raising, I was doing wyverns. I didn't realize this was a thing. I killed them all, and I gained all kinds of XP, and I'm like, whoa, I don't like that. So I turned that off, because to me, it's just, we could just sit there, and everybody could be max level tomorrow if all we did was raise up hundreds of gigas and kill them instantly. And that's kind of takes the fun out of the leveling, I think. Enable mating in range. That allows us to use that button. Enable neuter in range. This was I disabled this one because I figured what could be worse than accidentally hitting that button when you have a breeding base. There's no reason I can think of to have that button on there. So we got rid of that, as well as the enable capture dinos in range. That one just seems like it's a potentially annoying thing to do. Even if somebody hit it by mistake at your base, they're coming by, they're looking around, they're doing stuff, and they accidentally hit that, and then all your dinos that you have out for breeding go and get sucked up into the thing. Yeah, not cool. This one allows us to do the resource generation on fertilized eggs, poop, beetles converting poop, fertilizer to crop plots, which I forgot to mention that one on the beetle one. Yeah, it will actually auto-distribute to the crop plots, and you can actually determine what the max amount they put in there is, which is fantastic. Oasis Sort can generate resources, and egg incubation uses server rate. And then here we have the max range. It defaults at 5,000. I doubled it because I've got a huge base, and I know Trench does too. And we do a lot of breeding there, and it just having it be able to reach everything is just a plus. The bonus for multiplier for the Oviraptor, I think, defaults at 1.5. I upped it. I upped the egg generation speed a little bit. I think everything else, and egg incubation speed I upped as well. I don't know if these two work against each other. I don't think they do. And then we go to this one. This is where the fun begins. And This is resource generation time. So it's going to show you creatures that normally generate stuff, like the Achatina, the Basilosaur, the Dung Beetle, the Hesperornis, and let's see, the Phoenix and Tusa, right? Those all normally do these things. The queen bee doesn't normally generate honey unless it's in a hive form. But you could actually throw it in here, get rid of your hive, and generate honey. One every 900 seconds. That's kind of cool that you can do that. And here's the thing. You can adjust these rates, and you can adjust stuff. So let me show you an example here. We'll go to the Ovis. I added a couple things to the Ovis. Normally, it only has the wool. But I added, because we use the Ovis a lot for hide and for mutton, I went ahead and added those in there. And I still think I've got them producing too quickly. But we can adjust that later. But yeah, because we use those guys a lot. We'll kill them, and then we'll break out our chainsaw, and we'll saw them up, and boom, we've got that stuff. You know, is it a little cheaty putting it in here? Yeah, but like I said, we've reached a point in the game where it doesn't really matter for us. We can go in and just throw out 10 Ovis and have enough hide to make a whole bunch of Rex saddles with no issue, you know, in a heartbeat. And we can go ahead and get so much mutton that we can fill our tross up, you know, even with our stacking. It's just ridiculous what we can do at this point. Playing so long. So, you know, and it's fun, right? It's your game. You play it how you want. So I added stuff that kind of made sense there. For the wyverns, the milk, I have to really adjust that. I mean, interval 6,000. I mean, god dang. I might need to make that a little bit more. But yeah, I added wyvern milk and I added sulfur to it. And the way you add resources to a creature is, well, a couple steps. So first off, you need to find, if the creature's not listed here, you can add the creature via this drop-down menu. And this is aggravating because it likes to move. So let's find something interesting that we want to maybe add to it. Gigantoraptor. So then we add Dino, and he gets added to the list here, right? We click on him, and then we click on Add New Resource. This works with creatures that are already in here, that are already generating resources, as well as ones that aren't. We go right to this little drop down here. Oh, that's so annoying. Come on. There we go. And as you can see, it gives us a list of potential things for it to drop, including apex drops like the alpha T-Rex tooth or whatever it is, the Tuso eye, stuff like that. It also does the basic ones for like Spinosaurs and Thylaclaws and Therizina It's kind of like, it's a little cheaty with some of that, I'm going to admit. But, you know, Angler Gel, Ammonite Bile, it's pretty cool the things that can be generated in here. And it does add in stuff from mods. So, you know, I've seen it in there, which is really, really cool. Now, I've seen stuff that also I haven't been able to find, like the Archelon algae. I have not been able to find that in here. It might be listed as something else, you know. It depends on, I think it might depend on how it's listed in the game. I'm not 100% sure, but, you know, you can see there's just tons and tons of stuff, right? So I've got the Gigantoraptor in here, and if we wanted to add some element, for God's sake, that's really cheaty. I'm just saying, that's insane. So let's just look through and say we wanted him to make kelp. You know, no. Something silly. Let's... There we go. He craps out Majo berries, right? And now, every Gigantoraptor that we have in one of these that has resource generation available to it will crap out Majo berries, which is kind of funny. We're not going to leave that, of course, but if we want to get rid of it, we just go up to the red X on it. I thought. Or no, we can just back out, actually, right? Yeah, I think we can just back out. Go back into admin settings because we didn't save it off. And yeah, it's not in there. So yeah, if you make some mistakes and all that, you do that. Otherwise, you can actually get rid of these guys by clicking on X and taking them out of there. Now here we go with egg generation. If you want to generate eggs for a specific type of creature, you can go in here and you can affect how quickly they generate. Oviraptors, I can actually do this maybe instead of having to sterilize them. I can say 0 eggs. And there we go. And hopefully that will fix my Oviraptor egg production issue, even though it's not really an issue. It might make that a little bit different, so I don't have to look in there and see those eggs, which is kind of annoying. This right here is just dino conversion. I don't know. I haven't used this yet. This is something I have yet to use. But I guess it allows you to convert dinos that are in pods. Now, I had, and I wish I knew this ahead of time, I would have tried it out. But I had Dinosutras that we captured from the modded game, right? This is getting annoying. You know, from the actual mod. Then they added it to the game, and it like broke them all. Now none of them work. So it sucks. I had to throw them all out, and you know, I let them go. I'll have to tame some new ones and start that whole process over. I'm just going to chuck these for now. Yeah, I got to start that whole process over, and that's a little frustrating, but it is what it is. All right. Well, getting out of all those settings, we're going to look at some other things you can do with these terminals. And right here, let me turn these off for now. It's freezing in here, and it's very loud. So here's some specialized terminals I put in here. I got one I'm not sure what I'm going to do with yet, but it is what it is. Eggs. So this one here, we'll go into the terminal settings. And I've got collect and incubate fertilized eggs going on here, which is fantastic. So, as you can see, it's got a maximum of 300. I've got my fire wyverns laying eggs. I'm looking for mutations with them right now. So, I'm just doing things, and this guy is picking up every single egg that drops, and he's starting to incubate them, and I incubate it down to 1. When I start tossing them out, they'll all just hatch up, and then they're going to go into the next step of this whole thing, and that is baby pickup. Right next to it here. Here's baby pickup. Oh, we just picked something up. Into the terminal settings once again. All we had to do here was auto trap babies. Now, I can look through these and see if there's anything I want to go, oh, you know, the Civatherium, I really don't need any of those right now. I want to delete those. It's done very simply. You have delete dinos. You can go in and check individual ones. You can go to the filter, Civatherium, check them all, and then hold down X. It's not just a quick click, so you don't have to worry about, oh crap, you know, you got to make a physical effort and hold them down. And then with these guys, I could say, you know what, I'm looking for 285s, and the only reason I know that is that's the level I'm looking for in my mutations. I don't have any, so I could just go ahead and delete all these guys in one shot. And we're done. And now it's empty and ready for the next batch. Now, if you want creatures to get picked up, don't forget to put in these things, because if there's none of them in there, it's not going to pick them up. It won't generate them automatically. That's one thing I liked about the Cryo terminal from Peliores that I wish was in this, was the ability to create one-time use cryopods. Those things were handy. I would breed up creatures left and right, you know, throw them out for the guys into a cryo fridge, say, come in, take this creature. I bred up everybody, a mating pair of them or a breeding pair of them. Go ahead and grab them. They could take them home and chuck them. I wasn't wasting resources on tons of cryopods. I didn't have to worry about, guys didn't have to worry about, you know, oh, I'm bringing a couple cryopods, you know, because you're running out or whatever. No, that made it really, really easy and nice. But, you know, this is cool, though. This works just fine. Just make sure you have these in there and you're good. Oh, look, another one. It's still not the right number. Now I got an incubator here. Now this one is simple. The terminal settings for it are nothing, right? Because these guys are automatically going to grow up in here. And that's an admin setting. So I don't have to worry about that. So these guys that I just wanted to grow up, I threw them in here last night. Woke up today and they are 100% grown, as you can see. Now it still says baby Dunkleosteus, right? So we'll go ahead and pick him up. And chuck him out over here. And I'll show you that even though it says baby, that's a full-grown Dunkley. We pick him right back up, check him out, and you can see, yeah, he's full grown. There's no baby in front of the name. So don't rely on that when you're looking at those things as far as, you know, wondering if everything's fully grown or not. You've got to actually look at the creature and look at the age of it there. And God, I think that's pretty much it for this mod. Like I said, I've future-proofed it by building a whole bunch of these things. This is all going to be individual projects of, like, you know, I got a bunch of Megatherium in here. I got a bunch of Aloes in here. These are the Rexes that Trench built us. I kept a male and a female in here as a backup. That way, if I lose all the ones I have, I can go ahead and make more. I got my unpaired ones here. You know, it shows I got to go get mates for them or whatever. Free dinos. This is what I have set up for the guys. Right now, they're still all in the Pelioris here. I got to convert them over, but I don't want to, because if I do that, then I'm going to have to chuck them out, and these guys are going to, you know, grow up fully. It's a big mess. Anyway, and here's my donation box. Whenever the guys borrow anything for breeding purposes or whatever, or they find a good breeder that they want to add to the mix, they can just bring it here and toss it in here, and we're good to go. So it's a pretty cool setup. I love this mod. And again, not bad-mouthing Pelioris at all. That mod is fantastic. I highly recommend that one as well. But if you want that additional cool factor, the ability to gather resources and stuff like that, if you feel like that's a good fit for your server, then go for it, guys. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. If you haven't done so, please leave a like on the video if you found it helpful at all. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. I will see you guys next time. Until then, peace.